Welcome to the official podcast for the Sirens Women's Motorcycle Club in New York City. This podcast was born out of a need to preserve, honor, and actively remember our current and former members of our club. Created by Siren members, our podcast episodes are meant for archival purposes and as a result are unfiltered and uncut. The only edits that have been made have been done so at the request of the interviewee. If you are new to our club or to our Herstory, get out some motorcycle tools, work on your bike, and enjoy listening to the stories of those who have come before us. May these stories of the past offer you a measure of comfort and courage as you move toward the future. If you would like to find out more about our club, please visit sirensnyc.org. This podcast was produced by Alex Shea, road name T-Rex, Siren member and Siren media coordinator. The interviewer is Cheryl, Siren's volunteer archivist and coordinator at the Lesbian Herstory Archives. The sound designer is MJ Phillips, Siren Pledge. Saddle up for the following Herstory of Cheryl Stewart, one of the founding members of the Sirens M.C. Please note that this is an audio-only interview.
It is January 24th, 2026. It is cold outside. We are about to enter.
It is so cold.
It is so cold.
Not as cold as Canada, where I'm told it's going to go to negative 22 degrees in American.
Whoa, right, in American. In Canada, it's like
something else.
It's like we have to divide it by 2 and
forget it.
Subtract 10. I don't know how it works, but
whatever it is,
it's cold.
It's too damn cold.
Cold as hell. Or I guess, I don't know. It's cold as shit. It's not cold as hell. Hell would be hot, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it depends on what you think hell is, I guess.
Yeah, hell could be really cold.
For me, hell is cold.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted state secrets, you wouldn't have to even apply the ice. Just show me the ice. Like Galileo, I'll give it all up.
Yeah.
Like, the cold is my kryptonite.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I rode through winters for many years. I rode through the winter because, motorcycles were my transportation. If I couldn't ride there, I probably wouldn't go. And I didn't do it because I liked it. I did it because that was my transportation. Mm-hmm. And now I don't want to. I don't have to. And so now I don't. Though more now than what would be ideal for my body. I mean, I do have a lot of arthritis right now, even though I don't, give into it. I have it. Mm-hmm. Because congestion pricing is really expensive. And I was working so hard on it for so long. And I wanted that 100% exemption, but we got a 50% discount. So it's a lot cheaper on a motorcycle than in a car, as it should be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should be free, of course, but if not free, half price.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to dive in, but first let's say our names and do our proper introductions. All good.
Chitter-chattering along.
No, sorry. It's perfect. No, don't be sorry. It's perfect. I just want to make sure we check all our boxes before we get into the good stuff.
Okay.
So I'm Cheryl, and I'm currently interviewing.
I'm Cheryl Stewart, and I'm a founding member of the New York City Sirens Women's Motorcycle Club.
Awesome. And for the recording, my pronouns are they, them. What are your pronouns?
She, her, everything female.
Yes. All right. Cool. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 63 years old. I've been riding since 1981. And I can't count that high. You'll have to do the math. How long I've been riding?
Oh, wait. I think that's 45 years.
Sounds awesome.
Wait, yeah, 45 years.
I should have a party.
Yeah, you should. You should. That's crazy. And then in 5 years, it'll be 50 years of riding. Wait, yeah, 50 years of riding. Oh, my God. So you started when you were...
19.
19. Sorry, wait. Now my math is getting mixed up. When you were 19 years old.
I was 19. I'm from here. I had a big emotional upheaval, and I sublet my apartment in the East Village, which back then was the only place an artist could afford to live was the East Village. It was so cheap because it was so supposedly dangerous. And I lived on 9th Street, Pittman Avenue, B and C. I had that apartment for a really long time. And it was a cheap New York City apartment in the East Village. Like, Rent? The musical Rent?
The musical Rent.
That's from the generation after me. It was way cheaper and artier before that.
You're like, that was the gentrification time.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. How much were you paying in rent? Do you remember?
Yes, $200 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Whoa.
And when I finally gave it up, because I was subletting for a while when I needed more space, and then I gave up the lease because I just never wanted to go back there, and it was almost $300 a month. Wow.
Whoa.
But back then, that was super cheap. I know this is a long time ago. It was when I got the place, it was the 70s. And it was very, very drugged out, very sketchy, very sketchy. Lots of drug deals all the time. My first apartment in that building, the apartment across the hallway was major drug dealers in the neighborhood. Mama, her man used to go out and enforce. Oh. Yeah. And it was pretty crazy back then. And I could afford it, so I did it. And I was underage to sign the lease. Needed an apartment.
Yeah. Did you lie about your age to get the lease, or what?
They didn't even ask me. I was what?
Ask you. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that so positively because I am projecting that's what happened. That's actually what happened. Mm-hmm. When I signed the lease, I will never forget this. The landlord said, "Do you know any other white people who want to move into the apartment?" Mm-hmm. They didn't even ask.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That kind of bald racism when you're a kid, I didn't have a comeback. I was just too shocked to even come back from that. Mm-hmm. But, in retrospect, thinking about that, that's one of the most insidious and awful things. We're not even talking about generational wealth. We're talking about a cheap apartment. And that cheap apartment allowed me to buy motorcycles, travel. Eventually I ended up at NYU for a while. And all of those things I could do because I had this cheap East Village apartment. Mm-hmm. And, the kind of travel I could do made me cool. And all of it's like money that accrues interest. It's like all of that added up to the life that I had. Right. That someone else who didn't look like me wasn't going to have. Mm-hmm. And it's been edifying to think back on that one thing that guy said to me. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, yeah. So I had a cheap apartment in the East Village. Yeah. And I had a bike stolen from there. Battery got stolen. There used to be an outlaw club around the corner, and it was kind of a crazy time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This was 81, or
I went off to California after this big emotional thing, and I sublet my place, and I went to California and learned to ride motorcycles in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. On the hills and trolley tracks of San Francisco, which, if I had learned to ride in New York City, I would have come back going, oh my God, I learned to ride here. Well, going back to San Francisco many years later, I was like, holy shit, I learned to ride here. Mm-hmm. And I instantly, had passengers who were bigger than me. I didn't know you weren't supposed to do that. I didn't know the first thing about it. I don't even know if the Motorcycle Safety Foundation was invented back then at that point. Might have been. I didn't know about it anyway. And I learned to ride from a friend in a parking lot, which was probably the worst way to learn to ride. And then within a month of getting my license, I was off on a big cross-country trip, and I spent months traveling. I was up and down and up again and down. And, I just went up to almost to the Yukon, back down through the States and up back into Canada and down Florida and up to New England. And I just kept riding until it was just too cold. And I finally came back in, and, it took me a minute to get my apartment back. My friends weren't ready to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
What did you do in the meantime?
in the meantime, I where was I staying? I can't remember. Oh, that's a good question. There are kind of some fuzzy gaps in my memory.
Yeah, all good. All good.
But the motorcycle trip back was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, sometimes when you think back on a time in your life, you're like, wow, that was such an amazing time, and I didn't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
But that first trip, the whole time I was like, this is such an amazing time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't ever been to any of these places. I lived in New York, and I lived in San Francisco, and then I was riding around the country, places I couldn't have imagined. It was remarkable. And back then, women didn't ride motorcycles. We were expected to be passengers. And so it was shocking, truly shocking for these people to see me riding my own motorcycle alone, just traveling around. And I was very matter of fact about it. And, like, okay, damn, I just tore up my boots. Okay, there's a garage sale. Let me buy some more boots there. And, I've got to wash these things. Man, they're really standing up by themselves. And so I got in my bathing suit and did my laundry at, some place in the middle of nowhere. What are you doing here? Oh, just riding around. What? And, so I would talk to people, and they were so shocked by me that it shocked them into something. It was something, I noticed this right from the start. People would tell me things they had never told another soul when I was traveling like that alone, because they were so shocked. They were just so shocked. And they told me things they had never told their brother, anyone. And because they knew they wouldn't see me again, I think. And also because it was shocking.
Yeah. What sort of things would they tell you?
They were dying of cancer. Serious things, real things. The ambition they had when they were a kid that, no, I could never do that. But they could have. Things about their lives that were really big, that they didn't know why they were telling me, and then they were telling me. It was so interesting. And I think that I wouldn't have that again, ever. I mean, I think part of it was my age and my openness. I had not seen anything. And I would just listen to them tell this crazy story because they thought I was a crazy story. And it was fascinating.
Yeah. And had you heard things like this from other people in your life, or was this
Never.
Kind of a new thing? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a totally new thing. I mean, people would confide, the way people confide, but not like that. Not to a stranger.
And you think it was that, seeing a woman on a motorcycle that really...
so shocking. It was so shocking. I'm not a big person. I mean, I think of myself as a big person, but I really am not. I mean, I really like to think I'm big. I look at people who are a lot bigger than I am, and I think that I'm the same size as them, and it turns out I'm not, and I'm always surprised. And then if I think, oh, no, definitely he's taller than me, I'll take a step back, and then we're the same height again. But so I think, I'm not sure what they saw, but I was young and alone, traveling in a way they'd never imagined they'd see a woman traveling. Like if you saw another woman riding alone, I didn't. I did. I saw one Sherman woman on my travels in that first trip. Was it the first trip? Maybe it was another trip, but it was early on. And we were both traveling, and she was going one way and I was going an entirely different direction. And we had to stop and talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was just extraordinary. We were both like, oh my God, this is amazing. Because I think it was much more common, as she said, in her home country, but certainly not here.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Why was she in the States? Do you know?
I think she, let's see if I can remember this. She never said she was gay, but you know how you clock each other. So
Yeah.
we clocked each other. It just didn't come up, but it was obvious that we were speaking to each other.
Yeah.
She said that she'd gotten a job, and the job was secure. And once she started working, she wouldn't have time to travel again for a while. And so I think that's why she was doing this big trip, because the job didn't start until sometime in the future. I hope I got that right. I think that's what she said to me. And if it wasn't, I'll never know, because, we're never going to see each other again.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things about meeting people on the road. You might see them again if you make an effort to, but chances are it's this chance meeting and might as well be on the moon.
Yeah. So when you were traveling cross country, where did you stay?
I had no money, or very little money. And so, I'd stopped to work a little bit. And, when I thought my money might be getting a little bit low. And so I camped off-road, which I'm not sure I could, all the things that I did on that first trip, I was able to do again for years afterwards, but now I don't think I can, because people are really siloed now, and they don't want to meet people that don't look like exactly their people anymore. So I camped off-road. So I'd be like, okay, I've been riding for a while. Maybe it's time to stop and pitch my tent. And I look, because I do not like campgrounds. They smell like latrines and kids running everywhere. Anyway, so that looks like the right road. And I'd just go on a feeling, and I'd make a quick turn, and I'd make another turn. And before you knew it, I don't know, 3 nights out of 5, I'd find some water, and I'd pitch my little tent and, make sure I was really secluded and nobody was going to find me. And, I'd cover the bike with a camouflage cover and my little, protected secret tent. And, I'd wash up and look at the map in the morning and like, oh, I like that road, and off I'd go. And, so I just camped off-road, and I traveled pretty much for gas and groceries and the occasional back tire.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real vagabond existence. I loved it.
Do you miss it?
I do. Now that I do track days a lot, I haven't done that kind of traveling, and I'm not sure, even if Americans generally hadn't changed and gotten so ugly as they are now, I'm not sure I would like that kind of trip again the way I liked it back then. It was beautiful, but it's not the same. A friend of mine was traveling. She's Irma, the trans woman. She's very visibly trans, if you know what you're looking for. But now average people know what they're looking for. And trans people have been vilified and turned into the scapegoat. And she said when she was she went riding off to New Mexico to do something for a friend of hers. And when she came riding back, she saw billboards saying, liberals not welcome here, no Democrats, on billboards and on roads. And she was chased away from gas stations, people saying, you transgenders, you have to go, or whatever it is that they said to her. They spotted her as trans and they ran her off, which was really hard to hear. So if I did want to travel around, I'd probably have to scrape off my rainbow stickers just to be safe. And, I can do that. I have freedom to do that. I don't, have that look. I used to look a lot more gay. I was much easier to spot, but now actual lesbians don't clock me as much anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Really?
Yes, really. Really. It's so strange. And I don't know if something softened or if just, I don't know. I'm thin. I color my hair. Is that it? I don't know.
How would you describe yourself? Like you said, I looked more gay than I do now. What to you looks gay about yourself? Like I know things for myself, but
maybe back then the only women who wore leather motorcycle jackets were lesbian bikers.
Yeah. Honestly,
maybe that was it. Maybe that's just the key. I don't know.
Yeah.
But now that I'm not riding full time, I'm not wearing my leather jacket full time. I'm wearing like soft pants. Is that it? That I'm wearing like soft pants? What is it? Why don't I look gay? Like Nancy, my closest friend one day, some years ago said, "You look like a straight girl," and she was really annoyed. I'm like, I know I do. What happened? Okay, this is the other part of it. When I was in my mid to late 20s, I grew a beard mustache.
Really?
Yeah. And over like instantly, street harassment stopped dead. It was so beautiful. Wow. I used to walk around, my God, these disgusting motherfuckers. They'd sniff up my butt like a pack of dogs everywhere I went, at work, at home, walking on the street. They say the worst disgusting things all the time. It was like literal verbal rape. And it stopped. It was like the goddess's gift to me. And I was just like, oh my God, I can just walk. I can wear what I want to wear. I can just be. They're not slobbering after me. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what a relief. Mm-hmm. And I let it stay on for years. And then my girlfriend, who later became my partner, she really hated it. So when I met her, I didn't know she was a cop, and she didn't know, because it was dark in the bar. She didn't see it. And it was too late. So we were, she got me and I got her. I was like, fuck, right? So then I started shaving it. And
did you shave it for her primarily, or
it was a lot easier to I'm articulate and white, and so I wasn't treated like a crazy homeless person overtly, but when people would meet me, their first thought might have been, I wonder if she's a crazy homeless person, because no women walked around with beard and mustache. Mm-hmm. It wasn't heavy. It wasn't like, like a bushy Harley guy or something. It was, it was light, but it was you would see it unless you were blonde. Mm-hmm. And, it was just so nice to just take a breath, because I didn't know just how wound up all that street harassment was getting me every day, all day. It still does. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. That kind of harassment, I thought everybody was getting it at the level I was. No, they weren't. I didn't know that other women weren't catching it the way I was. And I didn't know that they didn't catch it forever. Like, I thought everybody else was getting it for as long as I got it. It pretty much stopped for them after they were out of their mid to late 20s, like into their 30s. They weren't getting harassed like that anymore. I didn't know that. To me, it was a given. This is the cost of doing business in the world, is that men will come slobbering after you like dogs. Mm-hmm. And so, nothing against dogs, but
yeah.
Like, not that long ago, I think I was pushing 50. I was certainly at least in my mid 40s. A friend of mine was throwing an event. It was this sexualized thing. was mixed with men, just walking around unleashed. And, I wasn't going. And she said, nobody acts like that at my event. I'd heard that before. Of course they do.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I read something online. I was mid-40s at least. I was on the downside of the mid-40s. And it was this really beautiful thing someone had written about walking around in the world to being open and just being alive and awake to all that's around you. Well, I definitely was not walking around open in New York, that's for sure. Anyway, I thought that was beautiful. I thought, what would it be like? I wonder if I could, now that I'm old. Maybe I could walk around like that. Maybe this reflexive shielding that I do is unnecessary now. And I had those thoughts in my head, and I put on my sweatpants and my sweatshirt, and I went to go outside. I was standing on my stoop. I was about to go across the street to say hello to my dog friends across the street. Real dogs, I mean. Who I like. I love dogs. And this guy was driving by in his pickup truck. He hung out of his truck window, howling like a monkey at me. Seriously, howling. Here I am on my stoop in my house, feeling so violated because I was just thinking those thoughts about what would it be like to be open? I'm like, no open, not being open. No.
Yeah. Never mind.
Not going to my friend's mixed event. No.
Yeah.
So it's been like that for me all my life. And I don't know why. I don't know why I caught it so much and for so long. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm a 70s lesbian feminist. Mm-hmm. So in my accounting, this has to do with the men, not to do with anything I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. In response to, being perceived by men and being harassed by them, what does women's space mean to you? And, these organized
when
spaces?
I was younger, I didn't understand how important it was. I was so not committed to women's space when I was really young, like before, when I was when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I really didn't grasp how important it was. And now I totally do. It's super important. Having women's space with the Sirens is so important to me. And we recently in the Sirens had this whole thing where one of our members wanted her husband to come to our holiday party. And I was like, oh, hell no. And I was really angry that she... I think that one part of my anger was her sense of entitlement about it, because she knew that she should have known that it would be a subject to bring up with more sensitivity. She didn't, and now it's going to be a while before I forget that I'm angry at her. So we had a big thing, and then we had the vote, and no, men aren't coming to our holiday party. Yeah. But I still feel a little resentful because it was... Let's see, our rules were, this is what we're arguing about in 2026. Instead of saying, let's organize ourselves to be part of these protests against ICE, we're arguing about who's coming to our holiday party. So that one member who wanted to bring her husband, she said it's not fair because you all bring your partners and I can't bring mine. Well, you bring female guests. It's women's space. So, the vast majority of the Sirens voted to make it just Sirens and our partners. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just Sirens and pledges.
Right.
No partners
mm-hmm.
of any gender. And that irritated by, because I think that closes us in instead of expanding us. I think we should be able to have any women guests we like, and I hope that we revisit this next year, because in fact that excluded you.
Yeah, this was an interesting vote. I found it, like, the conversations were interesting. The 3 votes that were brought up, it was essentially like, okay, do you want to have the holiday party with partners of any gender? Do you want to have the holiday party the way it was, status quo, which was just sirens, pledges, and then
Women guests.
Yeah, women guests only.
Because that was a place I could bring someone who I thought would not only enjoy the party, but also could prospectively be one day a siren. But I'm sorry. And yes, and the third, sorry to interrupt you.
The third vote was just sirens and pledges, period. And so the vote ended up being two votes for, I think there was like 1 abstain, 2 votes for the first option, 2 votes for the second option, 19 votes for just sirens and pledges.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And I think that from what I understand, especially based on the discussions that we had in 2 meetings about this, 2 meetings, that they were gaming the vote, that people were worried that the vote would get split between the vote against allowing male partners would get split between leaving things status quo or just sirens and pledges. And they decided to not take that risk and vote for the most exclusive party.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, the conversations around, what you want the space to be open to, because the values of the Sirens Club itself, y'all have been through votes about, is this a lesbian only club? Is this a women's only club? I think this is a really fascinating topic, and it was interesting as the archivist to sit in on all of these conversations in the meetings and hear people's perspectives, point of views, and like understanding where people are coming from, because they see the Sirens as such a community, as such a family group, and so of course that comes with its emotional weight. And I know you've witnessed this in all the years of the Sirens. So I guess I know we like opened up a big can of worms here, but I love talking about it. I think it's one of the more interesting things about the Sirens.
Okay, well, since you don't mind talking about it, I'll talk about it some more.
Yeah.
Right. So that vote way back in the day, it was my first round as president.
Yeah.
When two of our longtime members wanted to make the Sirens. They wanted us to change our name to the Sirens Lesbian Motorcycle Club. So we've always been overwhelmingly lesbian, but we've never been exclusively lesbians. Our founding members, we had, didn't look straight to me, but we had 1 straight member and a bunch of bisexuals, and we had some sex workers. So what does that mean? They're having sex with men with their fundamental orientation was lesbians. So, hey, how are you going to classify her? And then what happens if someone decides to go out and party with some dude? Like, does that mean that then they have to be churched and they can't come back until they're cleansed after a certain amount of time? Like, what does that mean? and the women who wanted to put that change in were both extraordinarily wealthy white women. And I thought that was really important, because they did approach it with a sense of entitlement that was strictly the domain of wealthy white people. And
this was this in the 90s?
Yeah, it was in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And I was so stressed out. It was at the dawn of internet communication. People didn't know rules, so they would BCC everybody, or no, they would just CC everybody. BCC, no, CC. They would just look, recidivist Luddite here, but I know you don't copy everybody.
Yeah.
And I know that you don't gratuitously out people's history of rape to your mailing list, which Barbara did.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was pretty ugly. And
this was to the Sirens mailing list?
So what happened was we had a mailing list and a phone tree, because that's what we used to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we just started having emails, and you know what? It was the late 90s, because I was president in 98. Was it 98? Yeah, it was 1998. And I didn't want a computer, but I didn't have a choice, because people weren't. I'd said, if you love me, you'll fax me. I'm president. I have no idea what's going on, because they're sending each other emails, which was very new. It seems like just, like 5 minutes ago, but I mean, those are dog years in internet time. Mm-hmm. So, it was Lauren and Barbara. Lauren had inherited family money, and they came at it from an extremely privileged viewpoint. For instance, Sirens back then were much more white, and our women of color, every single one of them was military. And that was... Let me see. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was new back then, in that time. So before that, it was just, you dishonorable discharge, period. We had Ellen back in the day. She had been dishonorably discharged when they found out she was gay. And, that ruins your entire life. That can never be off your record. It's like a terrible felony conviction that follows you. Nobody will hire you for having a dishonorable discharge, seriously. And, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was supposed to be better, because you didn't get dishonorably discharged, but you'd still get discharged, and they were asking, and you were forced to tell. And so we had teachers in conservative school districts as well. So very few of us were like me, which, I can be as out as I want to be. I'm a freelance artist in New York City. Nobody's going to be able to blackmail me. I'm not even connected to my family. I'm like, you can't even say, I'm going to send pictures to your mother. Right? So, not all of us had that freedom. Most of us didn't. Mm-hmm. And so the real problem was we had straight women in our club. And I wasn't going to tell them that, either you ignore the name and continue to be a member, or you just say, I'm not a lesbian, I'm not allowed to be here. Like, I wasn't going to lose those women. And so that was the biggest problem for me. But the secondary problem was how much documentation there was for all of these people whose lives and livelihoods would be endangered by changing this name. And when that was raised to these two very wealthy women, they said, so Lauren, who said, they'll have to make some sacrifices.
Oh.
In this incredible, like, my blood ran cold when she said that. There's like no empathy to people who she had been with in meetings. We'd ridden together, we'd ridden in Pride together, and they just made an effort to not be as visible because they could be, dishonorably discharged. And there'll have to be some sacrifices. And it would take the agency of those women to decide when and where they wanted to come out. I mean, back then it was very different. It was really different. So, and I've always made it a super big effort to be out because I can be when they can't. So that was ugly. It went on and on and on. And in the end, nobody wanted to change the name to the Sirens Lesbian Motorcycle Club. And Lauren marched out. The two of them marched out. Barbara, drama queen, cut off her colors sitting in the meeting and handed them in on her way out the door when the two of them left after the vote against them. And Lauren didn't even wait to get home. We had payphones back then, and she dropped a dime. She put her money in the phone and left a message on the Heritage of Pride voicemail, which we used to call an answering machine, saying the Sirens have voted not to be lesbian friendly, and they should not be leading New York City Pride.
Like right as she was leaving.
Yeah, and she'd been feeding, it turns out. You know, you've got access to this. You probably remember which gay publication had she been feeding all along. There was an article about it.
Yeah.
It's Gay Community News. No, not Gay Community News. It was like The Blade, something.
The Blade. I think it was the New York Blade.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah, it's in the archives. It's like in the, because she sends it to the archives as well. It's like in the Sirens folder.
Yeah. I need to answer that. I didn't even know she did that until you told me.
I know. I was like, wait, there's a whole like letter in here about her, which it's just wild.
I'm still angry at her for because Barbara was the one, in all that time. Both of them were sending things to. Everybody had a different email list because whenever somebody would they would add things to their list and then CC everybody, and then whoever got that would then maybe they'd add someone of their own and then they'd CC to that list. And so it was growing, and a bunch of the people on these lists weren't even in the Sirens. And one of our founding members sent. Oh, this is how that went. We had a newsletter that was printed, like Xeroxed on a machine. It was copied on a machine, and then we'd fold it up and put it in envelopes and lick a stamp and put it in the mail. That's how our newsletter went out. And this was a Sirens business subject. And a bunch of people on our newsletter list weren't in the Sirens. They just wanted to get our newsletter because it was cool. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to support us as they paid to be on our newsletter. And so Jackie was publishing the newsletter, our founding member, Jackie. Mm-hmm. And she decided, and I fully supported, that the discussion was for Sirens only. So the newsletter, when it went out, only Sirens got the item about the proposed name change. Mm. When Lauren found that out, she said, I quote, "That's like a father raping his daughter and then making her promise not to tell the teacher." End quote. Those were exactly her words. I'll never forget it, because obviously it told me everything I needed to know about Lauren. Because it was so irrelevant to the matter at hand. P.S. she got all that money because her father had just died. So I ought to feel sorry for her, but she caused so much, she deliberately caused so much turmoil. Another member whose wife had a terrible history said, this is really serious. To the two of them, she sent them to the both of them saying, this is really serious. You're throwing around these, rape. Rape is something else entirely. And just woman to woman was saying, like, this is what happens. Like, my wife has these effects from having been raped in her life numerous times. And Barbara posted the letter to her email list, outing this member's wife as having had this history of rape.
Oh.
Seriously, that happened. It was so shocking. And, with things like that happening, we had some very hard feelings. And I really ought to feel sorry for Lauren. I have no idea where she is now, but apparently she ought to feel sorry for her because she was so awful. And I have no idea what Barbara's up to.
How did the two of them react when they heard, like, I mean, I know that one of them sent the letter to the email list, so... but
so that was
they
in the run-up to the vote.
Right. When the vote happened and when
they
they were having conversations surrounding the vote, how did the two of them respond? Were they, like, listening or...
They listened. They presented their case. It was very clear that it was going to go against them. I think I noted when I said, what we're doing here, having a motorcycle club for women, is social and recreational. We have members of different orientations, and that's okay. This is social and this is recreational. And Barbara, I don't know if Barbara reacted, but Lauren certainly reacted with a big old scowl and a humping thing. And I think she wanted it to be about being badass lesbians and that was political. Well, many of us are badass lesbians, and that's political, just walking around. But the Sirens weren't all lesbians. And I wasn't willing to lose a member over it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the founding of the club.
Sorry about all that. I'm sorry.
No.
It's just us. Ancient history.
No,
now.
I want to hear it all. I think it's a good segue into the founding of the club and the values of the club. Because, I don't know, it's something that we talk about at meetings now once a month of, like, changes we want to enact in the club and what the future of the club could look like, what the passes look like. And I remember when we were at the archives together last winter and we were looking through, like, the Sirens box and you saw the photo of the Wildcats.
Oh my God.
And so I just want to, like, let's bring us back to that time of the 1980s, early 80s, New York City, and the time of the Wildcats, the time of women's motorcycle clubs in the 80s, and what started the Sirens.
So, I hope that you get a chance to interview Jackie Sturgis and Kiki Irizarry.
Yes, I'm going to. I'm excited.
Yeah, Jackie was totally the glue that held us together back in the early days. I was no kind of glue. I was a much more radical free agent. Jackie was really, really steadfastly holding everything together and doing all the organizing. Her model of leadership was really impressive for me. And Kiki as well. But Kiki was less active earlier. Jackie was really the one. So, the Wildcats predated the Sirens. I can't remember her last name. First name's Leslie, who wrote a 250 Rebel, and was a bunch of her leather was kind of plastic. She didn't wear her leather.
She had the pleather.
She had the pleather look, yeah. Because, like, she was just covered in it. I looked, I'm like, that's not really, it wasn't as successful back then. You can have some pretty convincing pleather these days, not then.
Yeah.
So, anyway, she wasn't all in leather. She was in pleather, and she was really keen to start a women's motorcycle club. But it was, for her, I think her idea was that it would be much more of a free love, sexual kind of, maybe she wanted girlfriends or something. It was much less about motorcycles. Mm-hmm. And so Jackie was all about motorcycles and riding motorcycles. And I think that was one of the reasons why we're still here now. Not that there wasn't a lot of girlfriend finding and sexual escapading back then. But the point of it really was the motorcycles for Jackie. And that's really one of the ways she held us together. So the Wildcats, that was the name of the group that this woman had come up with for the group of women she wanted to assemble to make a women's motorcycle club. And she advertised in the Village Voice. She put an ad in the Village Voice on the back page. And I don't know if you know what that means. It was, did you ever see the movie Desperately Seeking Susan?
No.
Yeah, so Madonna was in it.
Oh.
Yeah, so the back page of the Village Voice had a lot of weight. Like there was long pre-internet. The internet, nobody even thought of it then. Mm-hmm. And, if you wanted to reach a bunch of people for something odd and interesting, like people would say, I saw you on the train and you got off before I could give you my number. And then everybody in New York was hoping that you would find that girl, that you put that ad in the back page, because everybody read the back page of the Village Voice. And so Leslie put this ad in the Village Voice, and she got a bunch of women. I did not see this or go. Jackie was there. There was a meeting of women that Leslie put together in her apartment, and she wanted to start the Wildcats. And then there was an article about them in some newspaper about how, their first meeting was at a bar, and then there was a brawl. And I'm sure Leslie thought that was super cool. That wasn't going to get me to go to their meetings. And I met her out and about, and she was trying to get me to go to the Wildcats. And I was just like, I'm busy. And this one time I was working on an angel sculpture, and, we're meeting. We're going to go do this on, this night. I said, I'm making an angel. She said, here I am. Oh. Seriously, she said that to me. I wasn't interested. So then the women who didn't want to be that and do that, who were really put off by that whole energy, I hooked up with them. That was Jackie, and the other founding member who was the big force was Diane Maley, who I found out recently she has passed. Maybe it was last year she passed from cancer. But she was much more about going out and doing a lot of drugs and giving women sirens colors in the morning after.
This is Diane?
Yeah, that was Diane. So anyway, Diane and Jackie, there's a lot of tension between the, night crawlers and the group I called the Girl Scouts. That was Jackie and Kiki. Kiki literally, her career was as an executive in the Girl Scouts.
Oh my God.
That's why I call them the Girl Scouts.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
And so there's a lot of tension between those two sides of the Sirens back then. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, I certainly hung a lot with the party girls, but I didn't do drugs or drink. I was living so hard without the benefit of drugs or alcohol. I just lived hard.
Yeah. Felt that.
So at a certain point, the sentiment in the Sirens was like, we aren't that interested in being, we're not a leather club. We're not a, do drugs all night club. We're going to ride motorcycles. And we had a meeting that didn't go well for Siren, for Diane and the other night crawling gals. And they left.
Oh. Was this within like the first year of the Sirens, or
this was
like further in?
Late 80s.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So would you consider the founding members to be like the four of you, or do you remember like big, or were the beginning conversations mostly like
Jackie, Gigi, Dan, Trudy, what was her name? I found out later she has a PhD. She went back to school and got a PhD in something incredibly brainy, and I never would have guessed. What is her name? And then there was that straight woman who was a friend of Jackie's who didn't look straight. I don't think Liz was a founding member. I think she came in like a year later. I'd have to look at some lists of names.
Yeah.
And Jackie may be better able to tell you. And all these times when people ask me about something that's really the early years, I keep saying, I can't remember. Ask Jackie. And now Jackie stopped being able to remember a lot of it. So you know what? Don't wait to go talk to them. They're very busy with other things, and I'm sure this
I've already scheduled with them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Jackie is doing this really amazing work with leadership skills for Air Force people, and I don't think that Lissa Young was a founding member, but she was an early member. Yeah, she definitely wasn't a founding member, but she is part of women's history now as well. And I don't know if you've ever spoken to Lissa. You might want to. Lissa Young, Lissa. Yeah, she's now an honorary member. So what happened was that she had a health issue and she kind of stopped riding, and then she decided not to. So she's a professor up in West Point now. She was harassed out in the final months of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Somebody was going around, and if a person was like really close to being able to retire out and they were known to be gay, somebody was going out and outing them around. Yeah. So Lissa was a very, very high ranking. I think she's a lieutenant colonel. And she was supposed to go from retirement directly from active duty retirement she's a helicopter pilot. She's done a lot of amazing things. And if you go back on the internet somewhere, you'll probably be able to find, if you just look her up, there'll be all this stuff. But also, after she'd been harassed out, do you remember, this might have been too long ago for you to remember this. You were probably, God, I can't believe this. You're probably in grade school now that I think about how young you are. Lady Gaga.
No, I was around with her.
An incredible, absolutely steadfast supporter.
Yes.
And there was a moment when she did this fantastic speech about, you don't like gays in the military? They bother you? You go home. And it was a really great speech. It went on for a while. And I don't know if it was for that speech or for a similar one. I can't remember exactly now. But Lissa Young introduced her because she was like one of the highest ranked people to have been harassed out under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so she introduced Lady Gaga onto some major stage for some award she was getting. And
wow.
Yeah. So you maybe you should talk to Lissa too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So at a certain point, we're cleaning up our list, and I think I was president. When was this? A couple of years ago. I was president the last time. And Erica, who's also very young, okay, Lissa Young she hasn't re-upped. We're going to take her off the list. I was like, what? Hey, whoa. I don't want to be a Siren without Lissa Young in it. She should be a member. And so I proposed it, and we voted on it in a meeting that she would be an honorary member. And then I didn't do anything about it because I was just overwhelmed with the garage and everything. And so, I probably would have just sent her something nice in the mail because I'm not Jen and she knows how to do this. Seriously, if she ever wanted to, she could be a really great publicist or producer because she just knows how to put on an event and, make a spectacle well. So Jen, when she came in as president after that, which was last year, she made our opening ride? Was up to West Point. And we visited with Lissa. And you know how they get like coins and medals, and it's like occasions like that are important to when someone's in the military that has weight,
right,
in a way that it might not have for someone like me, who's, like a crazy artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jen made the event and made a plaque and the whole thing, and we presented it, and she took us around West Point, and it was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a really great event. So now she's an honorary member because she sold her bikes and isn't riding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So in those early years, it was.
Oh my God,
we're
supposed to be talking about the early years.
Oh,
and
no,
on and on and on.
No,
I'm just
no.
gonna jabber.
We're talking about a number from. It's all. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's all on topic. Like, you're not. These tangents are good.
Oh,
Like,
good.
don't
Because
worry.
I'll just keep going.
I know, that's great. That's what this is.
Stop me if it's really too hard.
I will. No, this is great. It's all so important and interesting. Okay. So, I'm interested by this divide that you said. Like, was this, you would say, like, the first kind of big conflict within the Sirens? Was the, like, kind of night crawlers versus Girl Scouts?
That's my
your perception
that's my
of it.
Personal.
Yeah.
Well, that's my personal. Those are my personal categories.
Yeah.
And
of course.
I don't know if anyone else would have called it that.
Mm-hmm.
They may laugh if they hear you say that I said that. But I think Jackie and Gigi know that I called them the Girl Scouts. Jackie was a vice president at a major advertising agency in Midtown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you want to know? Let me tell you something. Back in the day, like, this is pre-Don't Ask, Don't Tell. You want to know how we recognized each other?
How?
Jackie was wearing business clothes like every other business person. But of course you'd clock her for a lesbian because we do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I came to her office to help her with the newsletter because it needed to be like Xeroxed and folded and stamped and addressed because that's what we did. And another one of her coworkers, some other advertising person, she wandered in after hours. She wandered in, hey, and we had a little conversation. And after she left, I went like this. And Jackie went. That was the entire conversation. Me tilting my head one way meaningfully and her nodding her head the other meaningfully. And that was the whole conversation. It's like, she's one of us, right? And Jackie going, yep. That was it. 2 head nods. That's how we talked to each other back then. That was our code. Like, we lived like that. How did we live like that?
Yeah, I think the question of lesbian flagging and like how we clock each other, it's so interesting. What is our quote unquote gaydar, and I think with some people it's like, oh, I can just like feel it, or like I can see it in their face. Someone told me once that I have a lesbian jaw. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Okay. But
clearly they weren't talking about what develops when you munch the rug.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Isn't that crucial? Isn't that crazy?
It's totally crazy.
Isn't that silly? I don't know. Again, I don't know the ways that we see it in each other. And nowadays,
might be that lingering eye contact. It might just be a way you carry yourself that isn't like, I'm concerned with how men view me.
Right.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it does trouble me that I'm no longer seen as. I guess I'll just have to wear my leather jacket more, but it doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
Cheryl, you're wearing a labris on your earring right
now. That's why. But wait a minute. Young women don't know what that is.
Well, I know, but that's because I'm at the archives. I wouldn't have known if I had
history.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then, I don't know. I went to a leather event. Is it IMSL? Maybe it was IMSL. It must have been, or maybe it was some other. No, maybe it was Black Rose. It was IMSL.
Okay.
And I was sharing a room with someone. And because you share rooms for lesbians, we don't have money, so maybe that's the giveaway. Well, that's the tell. Is she poor? Okay, she must be a lesbian. No, so I'm just joking. So anyway, I was sharing with my friend and her partner. And so I had one double bed and they had the other. And the event was almost over and there was one more night. And they had a friend who was definitely not solvent and had some health issues. And she needed to have a place to crash for the last night of the event. And so, of course, stay here with us. And I said, I've only been sleeping on this side of the bed. You're welcome to sleep over there. And she said, oh, hell no. And she told her friends, I will not, she's butch. And she told her friends, I will not be sharing a bed with a straight woman.
What?
And they told her, Cheryl's a big old dyke. Nope.
What?
She's not sharing a bed with her.
What?
I don't know. It was a women's leather event. We're mostly gay.
Yeah. She never met a femme lesbian before? Like, what's
That's what I thought, but she'd been around for a zillion years. She wasn't young. So she insisted on sleeping on the floor, and I just I don't have whatever. You want to do it? Go sleep on the floor. What the fuck? I was a little insulted.
Yeah.
So,
you're offering your...
in the middle of the night, she had compromised health. She had a pretty bad asthma attack. Mm. And I woke up and I said, you're going to get up off the floor and sleep in that bed, or I'm going to sleep here on the floor with you. And so she did get in the bed and she didn't have another asthma attack. Mm-hmm. But she insisted, probably until the day she died, that I was straight.
What?
I'm a man-hating lesbian. What the fuck? I was just so shocked by that. It was like the first time I'd really heard that. I mean, there have been other times when I went to a Mary Gaucher. She was singing at this little cafe upstate, and I had been dating someone who was traveling, and we were supposed to meet because I was, that was the one place we were going to meet. She was coming from Maine to go to where she was going, and she didn't make it. So there I was sitting at the event alone, but I love Mary Gaucher. So here I am in this little coffee house, which she plays still, even though she was way bigger than that, because that guy had supported her early in her career. So she was playing some rather small venues. So we're all tucked together, and these other obvious dykes are sitting at the table with me, and they would not talk to me. I would only be, as a femme, only be lesbian enough if my girlfriend had showed up. She didn't show up, so I was a straight woman, and they just, I tried to make conversation. They answered me with one word and went back to each other and absolutely cut me off. And I thought it was funny. And yeah, it might have everything to do with lipstick. Even though I was wearing a leather motorcycle jacket, I was. But it just doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Back then, only certain people wore those, and it really marked you for a dyke. Yeah. I remember when I first started riding, the power of that leather motorcycle jacket. People respected me. They didn't respect me at all. They treated me like a little girl. And then I put that thing on, and bang, I had a presence. I really felt that with my first black leather motorcycle jacket.
Yeah. How do you experience these feelings, and also experience your femme lesbian identity? How do you resonate with being femme and being a femme lesbian riding a motorcycle?
It's really hard to, it's hard to make definitive statements because there are intersections all along the way in that identity,
of course,
with also being an aging person, because that changes people's perceptions as well.
Right.
There's been a huge upheaval. What I see is a huge upheaval because it's relevant to me in my life, and it happened in the middle of my most I don't know, in the years when I would have been dating most, that we weren't allowed to be too femme. That wasn't okay in the general community. If I had worn something really lacy and girly, I probably wouldn't have gotten laid again for another decade. Because you just didn't go out in clothes like that in our communities. There's a lot of judgment against butch femme here. Maybe in other places it was different, but we didn't have, nobody approved of that. And then suddenly it was okay again. Then suddenly it was celebrated again. And I really came into that identity as a femme lesbian. I never identified as butch, but I definitely was encouraged to butch it up. I don't know how much I responded to those messages. I don't think I was very self-conscious of it. It was once I left my long ago ex in the late 90s and came back out into this like glorious to me moment when like you could be femme. You could be any kind of femme. You could be hyper femme, and nobody expected you to be straight. And that was lovely. And then I could really pursue very butch women.
When were times that you felt butch femme was really threatened? Like, are there, I know you described experiences, but were there moments in time in New York City or otherwise that you felt like these identities were really being attacked?
By ourselves or by straight power?
It could mean either.
So when I was younger, I had less self-awareness and less knowledge and less power, less personal power. And I wasn't as aware of our herstory. And it didn't cross my mind to question that, you know, that anti-femme, like there was room for people to be butch, but not too butch. Women could be butch, but not too butch. But definitely don't be femme, because that's not okay. And I didn't know enough to question that. So I don't think I felt incensed by it. I felt a bit constrained by it. I wanted to be seen as a lesbian. And I'd go out and not be seen. And I'd be like, fuck, how am I going to be seen? And then I'd butch it up. Oh, now I'm seen. And so it didn't cross my mind to resent that. You know, I wanted to be welcome in our community. And I never really was. When I was younger, I was, took me a long time. I was in my early 20s before I realized, no, I'm really not bisexual. But bisexuals were not welcome in many places. Right. There was, and still, in some places, still is anti-bisexual. There was some really like pointed anti-bisexuality going on amongst women for sure. I'm sure among men, but I wasn't there for that. I witnessed it with the women. My closest sister friend is still identifies very much as bisexual, and even though mostly she'd rather be with women, but she does whatever she wants with whoever she wants, and I support that. But she, you know, she was trying to find community, and she was pushed out of several communities for being bisexual. And that was really hurtful for her. And for me as well, but I stopped identifying that way after, you know, like to me it seemed forever, but early 20s probably isn't that much for other people. Yeah, that was, I was still living in the East Village when I was just like, yeah, fuck that, I'm not bisexual, no. But no, let me think. I was still identifying as occasionally bisexual when I joined the Sirens. When we started the Sirens, I was I was still identifying as bisexual.
Got it.
Which is one of the reasons why I'm not ever going to allow anyone to say to a woman, you can't be in the Sirens if you're not identifying as a lesbian. Like, that's not okay with me.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's not just personal. It's just, like, I'm a feminist. Don't do that.
So in those early years, back to the Diane situation, what happened with that argument?
Jackie and Gigi instigated the argument. And then notably, they weren't at the meeting when it came up. They were out of town somewhere. And anyway, there was drinking and riding. There was some shady behavior. There was someone who was definitely drunk at Pride while we were riding. Diane was didn't want to have that article written about us too. And so we felt pretty, generally, I'd say the overwhelming feeling was against the drinking and drugging. And Diane also, so men's leather clubs, so men's motorcycle clubs, there's a history of men's leather clubs calling themselves motorcycle clubs. So there may or may not ever have been motorcycles involved.
Interesting.
Yes. And so Diane had us, because she was president, Jackie was president, Diane was president again. And so they traded off for a while because they were the two who were willing to do the work to keep it together. And Diane did a lot of work to keep us together. She signed us up to a whole bunch of leather organizations. So half of our mail was like getting us mail from like men's leather organizations. Like, this has nothing to do with riding motorcycles. And so Diane really wanted it to be more of that. So there's a lot of crossover between the leather community and the Sirens, as many of us are in that community.
Yeah.
But the Sirens aren't a leather club. But Jackie's very clipped and British, and she was not in the leather community, and she was going to tell everyone, we are not a leather club. And if you talk to Jackie about this, remember what I said, because you're going to hear her voice sounding exactly like what I just said. So, so once we had that conversation in the club, Diane felt very unwelcome, and the Nightcrawlers left. Even though Jackie wasn't there to say, we are not a leather club.
When they left, did they start their own club, or did they just fade out? In those meetings, was that when y'all came up with the rule of no drinking, no drugs, or was that always a part of the Sirens?
That was when we came up with it.
Got it.
We had zero tolerance on rides and Sirens event and riding events, and that was the meeting where we voted to not wear our colors in a bar. So I didn't know how invisible that made us.
Oh,
as I don't go to bars. I don't drink. I'm allergic. I'm not sober. I'm literally allergic. Like, take me to the hospital. I can't.
Oh, God.
Yeah. No, for real. Like, I'm not sure, because, people do, allergies sometimes change. And there are lots of things now that I can't eat that I'm terribly allergic to that I was never allergic to before. And vice versa. I think sometimes there are things that I couldn't, there are some things I got back after, now I'm totally gluten-free, and now there are things that I can eat that I couldn't eat. And so I'm wondering, but not too much wondering, could I drink now if I wanted to? I saved so much money. not drinking. New York is a really expensive place to drink.
It is.
And the reaction was so frightening. I'm like, you know what? Why would I do that? Why would I play around like that? Because it could come back at some point, and I never want to be that endangered again. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyway, it made us invisible. People had trouble finding us. And I didn't know this. And that was something that Jen let us know, is that, you know, if we're not out and about in places where people are drinking with our colors, how would people know where to find us?
Especially when like lesbian bars are a huge place of finding community and connection in New York City.
So I was maybe the last person still in the Siren. When she said that, I might have been the last person still active in the Sirens who even remembered the damn meeting where we had that vote. Yeah. But, you know, she was very respectful and she wanted me to get on board with it. And I was like, okay, don't make me wish I didn't say yes to this.
And was that in the bylaws, like from that vote?
It was never even in the bylaws.
It was just like, this was just a hearsay.
We voted on that and we stuck to it.
Wow. Because, y'all are very, what am I trying to say? Very, not strict, but just very committed to your values of, you know, like zero tolerance policy.
That's one of the things.
Writing, which is huge for people.
It is really huge.
There are many people involved in the Sirens who are in recovery, and I think that's a really cool thing to see as well.
There are people who we've invited, like, you know, I've met one friend of a friend a bunch of times out and about at events, and I really like her. I think she'd be great in the Sirens. And I came to realize later, I'm like, no, she's not going to be a good Siren, and the reason why is she is committed to drinking. So no, that I'm not going to encourage her to join, and that's why she never joined. She never said it, but now I realize that's what's going on there. So yeah, it is an important part of who we are, and I like it that way, and I don't want it to change.
Yeah. Were there other votes? I mean, of course there were, but like through the years, when you think of the early years, those were the 80s. We talked about the 90s vote about, you know, it changing the name. Are there other votes or moments of conflict you think about, or even like moments of joy you think about with votes within the club that have changed the club for the better?
That's a great question. I've never thought of that. Give me a minute on that. Maybe something will come to me.
All good.
Okay. I'm so excited about my garage. It's, you know, one of the things that I thought of when I was making it was how it was going to be a community place for Sirens.
Yeah.
And I really want that for us. I want us to have, like, Empire City, they're more than 60 years old. They are endowed. They have property.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not just a motorcycle club. It's also a men's leather family.
Oh, yeah. And, well, that's,
like me, like a lot of gay people back in the day, they were forever estranged from their family. And so, you know, if someone owned property, what were they going to do with it? Well, they endowed it to their real family, the leather family.
Yeah.
So they have a property, and they have, you know, they have all that to manage. I'm not sure the Sirens want something that that requires work like that. But I don't have kids. I don't have a partner. I'm not going to have one. So, you know, I have property. What am I going to do? I feel that I'm going to endow the Sirens. But that's going to be a long time from now. If there's such a thing as the Sirens.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got at least 40 years. Maybe 30. I don't know.
So when did you get involved with the leather community? And
that's a good question.
You want to talk about it in this interview?
So this is another thing that I didn't think of critically as a younger person. I assumed somehow that women don't do that. If I wanted to be in community, I would have to do that with men.
Interesting. Yeah.
And that really, it took me a while to realize that I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
And I also was definitely I wasn't. Get another napkin. Do you want napkins? I have napkins.
I'm good. Thank you, though.
It's definitely not as settled and positive in that identity as I am and was about being gay. Even though I knew from when I was very young that I knew before I knew that I was gay, that I was quite kinky, and I knew what it meant because I was sexualized way too early. I came from a very bad family. And so I went through a time where it was really hard not to resent that that's what I wanted. I'm like, motherfucker, I really need this? And I did. And it took me a while to get settled into it. And then the leather community, the women's leather community here in New York was very secretive until sometime in the 1990s. It was just really hard to find.
Yeah.
LSM was really super secret. And I didn't seek community. For a long time I didn't. I was annoyed that I had to. I was just annoyed. And but even though it was like my deepest desire.
If you had the layers of complication with your childhood, I mean, I'm sure that added to it.
Sure did. So how did I come into community? That's a good question. Once I got together with my long ago ex in the early 90s, I fell away from any public leather community acts. Even though I was still a teenager when I went out to the Hellfire for the first time. With a guy.
Yeah.
It was so early. Nobody had even thought of the word safe, sane, and consensual. I mean, it was way before that. People were drinking. It was, I don't even think Hellfire was filthy yet. It was still kind of a little new. And after a while, like, don't touch anything.
Yeah.
And then at a point before we founded the Sirens, I went out with some leather women. Might have been some of the women from the Wildcats, yes. Looking for, there was supposed to be some women's play party, and we went riding around looking for it. We couldn't find it. It was like ridiculous. It was like, I don't know, Dazed Confused for leather or dykes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I made some stabs at it, and I was out really young, and then I went back in because I was with my now long ago ex. And when I left her and I came back out into the world of dating, that was late 90s. Yeah, it was like 98 or so, I think. Everything had changed. there were so many parties. It was so public. It was so different. I was like, whoa, Candyland. And I jumped right in both feet. And I'd say that was when people started to know me more, because I didn't want community before that. It's hard to explain. It really is.
Did you want to be more isolated at that time, or what?
No longer wanted to be isolated. I wanted to be in community at that moment. Because isolation, there was a little bit of enforced isolation with my long ago ex. Who, she was very difficult. So, out I was. And that had everything also to do with my, with Nancy, we call each other sisters. So, she was way out. She was so far out. She was very prominent. And I just went along with her, and I was like, whoa, look at all this. This wasn't here last time I checked. So I have her to thank for some of that.
Oh, and then what was that like, finally coming out, getting back into community, but from a lesbian lens now versus when you were a teenager?
It was so freeing, and it was so validating. And that was one of the reasons why I worked so hard resurrecting LSM, like twice with Andrea.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, this was here for me when I needed to come back out into it. And if I don't make sure that this exists, I might not ever get laid again. Seriously. So there was a lot of crossover with the Sirens, but there's a whole lot of, it's very personal, and everybody has a different level of what they're comfortable with as far as being visible or out. Like I said, I'm a freelance artist in New York, and you can't blackmail me with pictures to my mother. So once again, I'm out because others can't be.
Right. So on the topic of Andrea, who are some friends and people that the Sirens have brought into your life, and what is the impact that they've had on you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, Andrea we met in LSM, and through me, she got into motorcycling, and she was very happy about that. That was community she didn't know she needed, and she was really happy about it. And it was just, she was my closest friend in New York. We were just best friends we had such an interesting dynamic. A little bit like kids sometimes. We went to see, we were seeing someone perform. Might even have been Mary Gaucher, or maybe it was another lesbian performer. So we went to the Rubin had a beautiful performance space, and you get entrance to the museum with your ticket. So we went early, and we're looking at the collection, and there's this, it was Shiva and, was it Vishnu? Like, how they have the he's sitting cross-legged and she's on his lap facing him, and they're obviously fornicating, but this is supposed to be sacred art.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sacred if you believe that sexuality is sacred, which I do, but I mean, this is male, female avatars. Anyway, so I'm reading the little caption, and it says exquisite detail, and the thing is like, what, 12 inches high? And I'm like, I know what exquisite detail means. And I get myself jammed up this like little corner, like, I'm like, yep, there it is. There's the money shot. And then Andrea has to come around and she's, yep, there it is. Like we had this is like that kind of childlike, I don't know, sister thing. It was, but I mean, that definitely wasn't very traditionally sisterly, but you know, that was like how we were with each other. Mm-hmm. One day I went over her place when she used to live in Crown Heights, and we were going to go out somewhere. She comes to the door. We are dressed exactly alike.
I love it when that happens.
Harness boots, black jeans, gray ribbed A shirt, leather jacket, big buckle, exactly alike. And I said, Andrew, you're going to have to change something because we're not going out as twinsies. That was so funny. Oh. But yeah, we had really great energy together. I missed her so much. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just ordered a thing for the bike. I was going to do it in paint, and the thing I order might not come out. If it doesn't come out well, I'll still do it in paint. I inherited her motorcycle, her street triple. So of course I'm paranoid that something bad might happen to it. But I want Andrea's street triple, right? There's some bodywork up, not really bodywork. There's a part of the not quite fairing. It's a naked bike. It's like the cowl over the front of the gas tank. That would be a perfect place to have that in paint or in this like little badge that I ordered. It hopefully will come out well. And it says Andrea's street triple. Aww. So I want that on her bike so that I can, you know, because that's all I ever called the bike. Andrea's. I don't just say the street triple. I say Andrea's street triple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. She, for the longest time, she had the CRX. It's 1100 cc's. It was a really big, heavy bike, and she's quite tall. And she was getting older, and she had this heart condition that was hereditary. And she got the street triple. It was smaller and lighter, and really great power to weight ratio. And, you know, that was her concession to heart disease, was that she would need a smaller, lighter motorcycle. Mm. I wish she'd had a few more good years. She did great. She did great. It's impossible. She had decades longer than the people in her family who had her heart disease. Her father died at just over 50. His brother, her uncle, didn't make it to 40.
Oh my goodness.
And they all had this hereditary heart condition. Mm-hmm. And she smoked a pack a day since she was like 11.
Oh my God.
And she quit cold turkey. I was really proud of her. But she smoked all that time and had really no ill effect in her body from it, which is impossible. Like, she was pretty heavily tested when she went in for her bypass surgeries. And yeah, she was fine. It was pretty impressive. Yeah. She had a really great third act. She had the best third act of anyone I've ever known. Mm-hmm. She was performing. She was getting paid to sing. She'd go to, she'd be the lesbian with a guitar singing songs she wrote, and everyone loved her. And she was doing background work, and which she loved doing. And she had motorcycles. She had a community. She got married to a wonderful woman who thought that she walked on water. Mm-hmm. And they had the house and the cats. Mm-hmm. They really had it all. I just wish a few more years would have been really nice for her. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was it. Mm-hmm. I miss her a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. At the archives, one of our mottos is in memory of the voices we have lost. So it's really important to preserve these memories and to talk about, what these people meant to us, and like what she meant to you, and what the friendship meant. Are there other relationships or losses that you've experienced within the Sirens, and how has that affected you?
There are lots of them. I've had personal losses, and it's hard to talk about loss within the Sirens because the backdrop of my own personal loss is really loud. As I lost my partner in 2003, she was riding her motorcycle to work, and a truck went through the stop sign. And the Sirens were so amazing. There was just so much incredible support. They were amazing. They were just amazing. They were so present, so kind, so supportive. And Sharon had joined the Sirens, and she loved riding motorcycles. She had told a ridiculous number of people, random people, who came up to me at her funeral or other times later, years later sometimes, that she was living the life she'd always wished for, that she had everything she wanted, and that she'd always wanted exactly what she had right in that moment. That was great that she had that, but once again, it would have been nice if she'd had it a little longer.
What was it like to receive the support from the Sirens in that moment?
I don't ask for help, and I'm suspicious when it's offered. But it was okay from the Sirens.
Yeah. I think you're someone who exemplifies that help as well. I mean, I remember going to the memorial, Kim's birthday memorial that we went to.
At the bench?
Yeah, at the bench in Greenwood.
Yeah.
And hearing about how you went to her apartment in the height of COVID. I would love to hear that story if you're willing to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah. So Kim was a lovely person. A really just sweet, kind, smart. She was great. And I wasn't close with her. It just never, we didn't particularly get close, but she was a Siren's sister. And I was in a lot of denial at the beginning of COVID. I really didn't imagine what was coming. And her sickness was right at the very worst of it, in the start of everything had shut down. It was one of those horrible days when the city was dead silent except for wailing ambulance sirens. And I'm so cantankerously self-sufficient that I don't, when people say, call me when you get home, I don't call you when I get home. I just don't. Excuse me. But Kim was not that. And she had been speaking to her mother on the phone. She knew she'd been exposed because her friend, she'd gone out for karaoke. Sadly, we were all in denial. Just the city's about to shut down. Let's have one night of karaoke before it shuts down. And people got their mouth around that microphone. And her good friend who she went out with, he was already sick, maybe even in the hospital. I think he was hospitalized by then. And I was still in denial. And obviously she had been when she went out. I mean, I'm not blaming anyone. We all had no idea what it was we were facing. We did not know. So if you want to get shit done, you call Sandra and I. We get shit done. So Jen couldn't come into the city. She was in New Jersey. Her mother was an elder, and she was in Rhode Island. And nobody was even crossing. The governor of Rhode Island had said, you can't cross our state line. It was that crazy. And I'm still thinking, what? You can't what? I really didn't understand it until she died. So she'd been talking to her mother, and she said, yeah, I don't feel well. I'll be fine in the morning. I'm just going to go to sleep. And she didn't call her mother in the morning, and her mother couldn't reach her, and she got really freaked out. And I heard this from Jen. I was just like, because she's not answering her phone? Seriously? Like, how many times do I not answer my phone? I didn't get it. So Jen was freaking out. Everybody started freaking out. And I guess I figured out that something serious had happened. Mm-hmm. Kim wasn't answering her phone. So Jen tried to get or maybe it was Kim's mom, Mamasaki. It was Kim Masaki was her club name. Her mother was Mamasaki. She's also gay. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so they got a hold of the police and asked them to do a wellness check. But since it hadn't been 24 hours yet since anyone had heard, they weren't allowed to break down the door. So, the super was there. I'm not allowed to open the door. The cops are, I can't break down the door. And so Sandra and I were on our way to meet at Kim's apartment when Jen got a hold of the cat sitter who had keys. I turned around in a hurry and went and got the keys. Met Sandra at the door. We let ourselves in, and Kim was burning up with fever. She was naked. And I don't know how long she'd been on such low oxygen, but clearly not herself. She was like a child. And we called the ambulance, and it took a very long time for them to come. I don't know, certainly more than 10 minutes, because everyone was so overwhelmed. So, Sandra and I were taking turns. Eventually, she was going to slide off the bed. So, we were just wearing one little mask. We were completely overexposed to this. And I didn't care. She was dying. It looked like she was burning up with fever. And I finally got her, she's more stable on the bed, naked as jaybird, and I'm forcing her to drink water. And, I was realizing how serious it all was. I must have been scowling because she, great big blue eyes. She said, "Am I in trouble?" I'll never forget that. She was a little girl. And the reason why, I think, was because she had lost so much oxygen for so long. So finally, the ambulance came, and they were also underprotected. So all of these people are risking their own lives, for someone they'd never met.
And at the time, if this was early pandemic, I remember they were saying don't buy masks because the nurses can't get enough masks because they are the demand is, or something like that. It was
I happen
crazy.
to have some good masks.
That's
here
good.
because I use them for
yeah.
work. So it wasn't, I wasn't protected as I should have been, but,
right.
But then, they weren't even going to load her in the ambulance because her oxygen levels were below 70. And they couldn't even transport her until they could get her oxygen level up higher. So, we don't know how long she was on such low oxygen, but she would never have been Kim again had she lived. So, I didn't know any of that. Sandra was much more aware of, denial, it's really good for some things. It's a really good go-to thing for me. It works for all sorts of things, but it wasn't working for me there because Sandra knew that she might not make it. It didn't cross my mind. So Sandra was busy telling her how much we loved her. We love you. You're beautiful. someone's coming. You're so wonderful. You're so beautiful. She just told her over and over how much we loved her. And they finally got her in the ambulance, and she was telling Kim she loved her right up until that door closed. And I would like to think that's the last thing Kim heard. So I thought, all right, she's going to the hospital. She'll be fine. Mm-hmm. She was never even admitted. She died in the emergency room. And now I know, at that point, now I get it. I understand how serious this is. I'm no longer in denial. And when I think it was Katie who called me to tell me that she didn't make it, you know what I said? No. I said it a long time, loud. I just kept saying no. It was like, people have interesting reactions to these things. So at that point, we knew we had to do something. Or I knew we had to do something, because that's my instinct. Something's going wrong, we do something about it. So we had the WhatsApp groups already, and I thought, let's do it. Let's start delivering PPE. Mm-hmm. And so lots of people who had no history importing, making nonprofits, raising funds, I think the person in charge of, it seemed like there were parallel tracks. There was one group of motorcyclists who was doing it all via Instagram, and we were doing it all via WhatsApp, and the groups never crossed. And so the WhatsApp people, we put together a group. Anybody we knew who we liked, who wanted to, was on our WhatsApp, and they put in a call for, okay, we've got deliveries. We'd pick up stuff and deliver them around to people. The medical professionals who we were delivering to, they looked like they'd been starving for 2 weeks, and we were offering them a ham sandwich. They were so grateful. The look was of incredible gratefulness. So that was really good for us mentally and emotionally to actually do something. I think that people who just had to wait until COVID was over in isolation weren't nearly as emotionally stable as we were, because we were actually doing something.
Yeah.
That was so important to me. It was important to everyone that we do something about it, right, especially in Kim's honor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we did. And I think that was really validating for us to see, like, this is how you stay sane in a crisis. You do something. Yeah. Yeah. And that's who we are. That's who I am.
And on that note, when did philanthropy begin for the Sirens, if you remember? I know that it's a huge part of the club with the milk bank and...
Well, we don't really think of it as philanthropy. We call it more service.
Right, service.
Yeah. We were much less service-oriented in the beginning. We were just riding motorcycles. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as time went on, we always had a benefit ride. The first loss we had in the Sirens was Stacy, who was very dynamic, very charismatic poet. I'm not really, never was interested in poetry readings and spoken word art. That was never my thing. Mm-hmm. She read a poem at one of the first women's motorcycle festivals, the one we went to as a group, as the Sirens. Oh my God. The room was silent. And when she was done, there was like a beat. And then people were like, oh my God. It was so hot. It was such an amazing, it was it was really about having, it was probably fisting sex from like a gathering, like it was rough sex poem between women. And we were all just like, ah, wow. And it was such a shame that of all people, she was the one who, she died of AIDS in mid-1990s. Sometime in the mid-1990s. There were no cures. There was no treatment for women. There was nothing. And she died at a time when her family felt compelled to write that she died of kidney failure. Or maybe it was liver failure. I can't remember. Whatever it was an AIDS complication, but she certainly died of AIDS. But for the record, she died of some organ failure that they named. So our benefit ride is always stay Sierra benefit ride. And we did other things. We've done other things along the way, but the service aspect didn't really kick in that strongly. I mean, we did what other motorcycle clubs do, mostly because it's expected that motorcycles will do Toys for Tots. So we did Toys for Tots. I don't know. That in the beginning, that's how it was. And then as time went by, it became much more service-oriented in the Sirens. I don't know that there was a defining moment, but it took a little time before it was a much stronger component of who we are.
In the 90s, where did the Sirens find themselves, like, within the AIDS epidemic in New York City? And there were Sirens directly impacted, Stacy having AIDS, but was there involvement of AIDS activism within the group?
Not really. I know that was common for lesbians of my age, but I was struggling to keep my sanity and my composure. I had started to work as a stagehand, and I don't know if you can imagine what being, I had no relations and no, I was on my own in Local 1, which is a pretty notorious stagehands union that, has changed a lot. But back then, can you imagine a loudmouthed out lesbian without any relations? These were really notoriously bigoted people. And I had my hands full with that. And I didn't get involved. I don't know that any of the other Sirens were involved, but it didn't impact us beyond Stacy. Not interestingly enough, we did a number of benefit rides for now defunct AIDS organizations that served women.
Yeah.
Women in AIDS Resource Network. What was that other one? Do you remember? There were like 3 of them.
I think there was in the Gay Men's Health Clinic. I feel like there wasn't a woman with AIDS clinic.
Yeah, GMHC.
GMHC, and then
also
Amber Harbaugh.
Yes, Talon Lord had something that we did through them for. So we did involve ourselves in fundraising for that. Yeah, but just for women.
Yeah.
The first friend I lost to AIDS was a straight guy, and it was before they even knew how it was transmitted. You want to talk about what goes around comes around? People think of forced sterilizations, and those things happened in most people's minds in the South. They happened in Mississippi. And they sure did happen. Women didn't even know it. They would be sterilized in these hospital settings in numbers. Black women in the South. Mm-hmm. That was also happening here. Mm. New York City hospitals were doing it as well.
Oh my God.
To Puerto Rican and Black women. Mm. So I don't talk about this very much. It's very emotional for me. There was one adult in my life who saved my life. She cared about me. I say the woman who raised me, she didn't really, she did the best she could. And that was flawed. I mean, she was an alcoholic. She was a little crazy. She was definitely, she had her flaws. But if not for her, I would absolutely not be here. Absolutely not. And she was from South Carolina. And her story is also very sad. From what she told me, it seems very clear that she was forcibly sterilized when she was young. And she didn't have her own children that lived. So she didn't consciously know it clearly. I'm quite certain that happened to her from the story she told of some medical care that she got. And it's very emotional for me. So fast forward to my life in the very early 1980s. I had a straight male friend whose wife was a Puerto Rican woman who learned she had been sterilized once she wanted to have kids with my friend. She learned she'd been sterilized as a teenager. And she went crazy and became a junkie. And my friend didn't say he did, but obviously they did drugs together because he was the first person I knew to die of AIDS. So talk about what goes around comes around. I mean, she was forcibly sterilized in the early 1970s. This was happening in New York City hospitals still.
I feel like this, I think about like more maternal mortality and sterilization. I feel like these things are brushed under the rug, like not discussed as much as they should be.
That women, it's such a personal subject.
Yeah,
I mean, it's as personal as being raped. It's your femaleness is robbed from you when you can't, somebody has sterilized you, whether you knew it or not. It certainly didn't consent to it. And, it's a non-consensual invasion of your body and taking your female organs out, and denying you the opportunity to have children you may have wanted. So, yeah, it's very personal and women don't want to talk about it. And the reasons why they did it varied, but most often, especially in the South, they would label the women as incompetent, not smart enough, like as if they were developmentally disabled. And that's why they would say, since she's incompetent, she can't have children, we'll just snip that out for her.
It's terrible.
It is. It's quite terrible. And I think about how long these things last in our community. Like, that happens to a person. Anything that happens to a person, you carry that in your life. So your entire life, you're responding to this primary trauma. So it lasts a good while. The woman who raised me, at least one grandparent had been enslaved. And her that grandparent's son was her father. And he was, from all accounts, a terrifying man who did terrible things. And did terrible things to her. And she spent her life as an alcoholic and childless. And what could she have been? Who could she have been? I mean, these things last there's generational trauma that you carry from generation to generation. It certainly affected me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very heavy, and it's sad to imagine like what could have happened had this person not been through this trauma or
So I know the question was about our community and AIDS in our community and how we responded. I did not have close male friends who died of AIDS because I didn't have close male friends, except for that one who wasn't that close. But when he died, I'm quite certain he never even said the word AIDS.
Yeah. I can't imagine the amount of deaths that were not recorded as AIDS deaths.
Yeah.
That were,
They were,
because of the stigma.
Because of the stigma.
And
there we are.
Yeah. So I have a couple like closing questions. One of them is, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would you tell them? What would you tell her?
Having to do with motorcycles or anything?
Could be absolutely anything.
Learn to identify and avoid narcissists. That would be it. Well, no, that would be the big one.
Okay.
Others would be I think people look at me in my life and they think that I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks of me. I think I've been relatively successful with that, but if I were to go back, I'd say, no, really, don't give a shit at all about what anyone else thinks. Really don't. Because there have been times when I did, even though it might not appear so. And I wish that I had acted more. I wish that I'd been less concerned even than I was, which was not very much.
Yeah.
Let me see, the third thing.
As the club has gotten older and you've gotten older, what has this been like for you?
Like we were talking about before, I hardly feel, I joke a lot about how old I am because I'm now older than most everybody else in the Sirens. Maybe not most everybody else, but I'm definitely on the upper edge. And I am in no danger of ever mastering digital tech. That's just not happening. That's one concession I make. It's definitely, I don't know if it's about age or just my brain doesn't work like that. That's not happening. So everybody's very kind about enabling me with that. And I think that that's part of the Sirens is this, kindness about, all right, well, I'll be able to fix your bike. Will you do that tech thing for me? Or, people say all the time, it's easy. Once someone says just, that is a 4-letter word. Just means you are fucked. Once they say just, I say, why don't you just, I'll get us something to eat. And then they do the tech thing for me, which works really well. So, if I were more disabled by my ears, I guess I could answer that question differently. But like we were talking about it, I don't have many limits personally that are because I'm older.
Right.
Just the tech thing. And so aging in the Sirens, everyone's very respectful. Everyone's very supportive of each other, mostly. Like if you explain, I guess, to someone who just doesn't understand, like, somebody can explain to me, like, tires, those big black round things, right? If they, I can help them with that, and I'll be respectful and kind. Let me help you with your tire pressure, and they'll be able to help me with something. Yeah. So I don't think that's a question about aging. That's just different people's experiences and strong suits. We can support each other in those ways.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add? I know this was a lengthy interview, so thank you for your time. And but anything you feel like we missed or you want to bring up?
Yeah. I don't think I can ever say it enough that motorcycling for women is extremely empowering. It's pretty literal, and you're putting this powerful thing between your legs and you're in charge of it. How much more literal can you get? But it's empowering in a lot of ways. I mean, even when it stops being unusual that women ride motorcycles, where it's not like it was when I started riding, but it's still unusual. There's something about it that ignites women's sense of who they are. There's their ideas about what's possible in the world. Their feeling of competence. I'm not sure what it is, but I can tell you absolutely that women who are feeling disempowered will feel empowered once they start riding. I'm serious. This actually happened. I was visiting my friends up in Northampton, in Hilltowns north of Northampton. They had property and, like rolling hills and a dirt bike. One of their friends up there is not a strong advocate for herself, and she was having a health problem, something to do, I believe, with a lump in her breast, but I can't remember, and she wasn't getting good answers from her doctor. And people were getting concerned that she wasn't demanding good answers from her doctor. So nothing to do with that. She was visiting, and she came over, and my friend taught her how to ride on a little dirt bike in their pasture. And she loved it. And then she went home and got right on the phone and demanded good answers from her doctor. It was so clearly a cause and effect where she felt empowered and did something. And I think that motorcycles have that effect on women. And so I will always, straight, gay, no identification, doesn't matter. If a woman wants to learn to ride a motorcycle, I'll always do everything I can to support her. If a woman tells me they want to learn to ride, I say, go take the MSF class. When you're done with the class, I'll ride with you. I'll help you get up to speed. You need someone to go with you to something. I'll go with you. I'll help you learn, because I think that that's a magic thing. It's like a magic bullet of empowerment for women. And that's one of the reasons why who we are as Sirens is so important. We're role models for that.
Lovely. Oh, well, thank you so much again. This has been great. I'm going to stop recording now.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
We're talking about injuries. We're going to add to the interview. Talking about injuries, and in 2011, Cheryl had was it a motorcycle crash or what happened?
Yes. I was on my way home and the crash happened a few blocks away from the crash that killed Sharon. It's like the Bermuda Triangle. So a car turned through me. So the car was appeared to be pulling over into the parking lane.
Okay.
And I was going maybe as much as 15 or so miles per hour. It's so ironic because I ride around pretty quickly and I go to the track.
Yeah.
The big crash was going very slowly a mile from my house. So this car was pulling over to the right. I continued on, clutch in, coasting to the red light. And then he turned left through me to make a left on Carroll Street from Van Brunt. And so technically he would have been hitting me from behind because I was already passing him as he initiated his turn. And so he contacted me here, shattered my pelvis, and put a bunch of breaks in my spine and ribs, hand, knees.
Oh my God.
So this was a Humpty Dumpty break. It shouldn't have gone back together. But the world's foremost pelvis surgeon is here in New York. If you ever have any kind of orthopedic injury, just go straight to the hospital for special surgery. Don't go to any other kind of doctors because the best doctors are there. And Dr. Helfet, I didn't know how I could have gotten on his caseload because I don't know anybody, I don't have any money, but it turns out nobody else could have done it because it was a Humpty Dumpty break. It was a shattered pelvis. The breaks were through the acetabulum. So he put me back together, did a fantastic job. And because I'm really strong and I have a super strong core and I'm the luckiest person on earth, and I have 2 dead girlfriends looking out for me. I had 9 breaks in my lumbar spine and no spinal cord injury.
Wow.
Because there was no displacement.
Wow.
I didn't need spinal surgery.
Oh my God.
I had no injury at all from all of these breaks. And people who look at the films, the x-rays from my spine, they don't know how I'm standing.
Yeah.
Because that should have been some serious spinal cord damage. If you injured, the Sirens were amazing. They came and helped me over and over. And people know me. They know I'm not going to ask for help. They'd show up and do things that I didn't know I needed them to do. I had one friend cleaned my microwave. I mean, I'm kind of I live in squalor. I didn't even notice. And Sandra did my laundry. And, Karen asked me when she could come and take me places. And, it was just impossibly good. The Sirens were impossibly good. They were amazing. I said thank you over and over and over and over. They did things for me I didn't know I needed. Yeah. Because how would I know? Aww. Yeah, so that's the other bit of advice. Besides, get your core nice and tight before you have any kind of crashes. Don't crash until your core's tight. Or preferably never, but if you insist, get the core tight first. And then get yourself a community. Get yourself a family of choice. This is remarkably good that I have the Sirens and everything that they've done for me.